Hey everybody, and welcome to this fun little podcast, where today I'll be sharing with you my research surrounding fandoms and the effect of their relationship with the creator on the content produced and the reception of of content. Now, when I say fandom, what is the first fandom that comes into mind? Personally, for me, it's Harry Potter. Truly a very massive fandom. Potterheads, which have been around for many years, are probably one of the fandoms with the tensest relationship with the creator, as we may all be aware of J.K. Rowling's recent cancellation in the media. Now, because of this type of relationship, the Harry Potter fandom will be one of two fandoms which I'm presenting my research on today. Do you have any guess on which the other one will be? A hint is that it's responsible for my Greek mythology phase. If you guessed Percy Jackson, then you were correct. Or more broadly for this assignment, I'll be looking at all of Rick Riordan's works as and their collective fandom, as they're all set within the same universe. Now, the reason I've chosen these two authors and fandoms is one, they both have very different relationships with their fandoms, with clear effects on the content produced and the reception of the content. And two, because I have been a very active part of both of these fandoms in the past, so it interested me. Now, going into this, I had an idea as to why both fandoms had such a different relationship with their creators, mainly representation within their work and their presence within the fandom. And looking at all the research that I did, it concluded pretty much the same thoughts as I did. The first Harry Potter book was first published in 1997 and is a large part of many Gen Z's and Millennials' childhood and helped shape them to become who they are, having strong female characters and a prevailing message that we should rally against evil within society. But over the past few years in particular, as people have started to pick up the books again and read them without the rose tinted glasses of childhood and the nostalgia, many representational issues or lack thereof representation within them have come into the public eye. Two very clear examples of this that I can list off the top of my head and will be talking about were her depiction of cultural and national otherness, as long as her lack of LGBTQI plus representation. Within the books, Britain is presented as the imperial centre for the wizarding world, with other countries and nations taking underlying roles, mainly seen in the Goblet of Fire with the Tri-Wizard Tournament, and not contributing to the war which they're fighting, despite it being mentioned many times that Voldemort is reigning terror across the whole of Europe. J.K. Rowling's approach to the inclusion of other nations within the book of The Goblet of Fire is reflected very well in Hagrid's statement, "The less you have to do with these foreigners, the happier you'll be," which not a great sentiment, as both schools are reduced to two base stereotypes for their countries and often compared to Hogwarts and Britain in a way that makes them seem lesser throughout the books. For those more interested in this or want to go more into the into the imperial nature of Britain in the books, I would recommend looking at a paper written by Marion Rana for the International Children's Literature. It covers it in great depth, and I will link it below. This paper also explores J.K. Rowling's tendency towards diversity afterthought, as characters like Angelina, who you may know ends up with one of the Weasley twins, wasn't established to be diverse until later in the books, almost as if an afterthought. And many of the characters that are as diverse aren't exactly stated as such. It's more given in a roundabout way. For Cho Chang and the twins, we have these names that are seen as exotic names and are told to just gather the information from that, rather than her directly stating that these characters are diverse. The books also lacked any LGBTQI plus representation, which was not uncommon for books published at that time, but the fandom did urge J.K. Rowling to include representation moving forward. And in an aim to address this, she did announce that Dumbledore was gay and previously had a relationship with Gellert Grindelwald, which, while not the most illustrious was something. But as we may know, in future works such as Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, which is set during the time period of Babylon, and the Lord's Fight, this relationship was not included or even alluded to, making her attempt null and void. As J.K. Rowling continued to expand on the HP universe, she made no attempts to rectify these representation issues or even listen to the fandom's wishes, which in the end caused the relationship between fandom and author to become tenser. So by the time we reach the cancellation in the media due to transphobic tweets, the Harry Potter fandom still have a large thriving population, but a majority of them are not fans of J.K. Rowling, which has caused a large split between the fandom and author. As J.K. Rowling did not allow her fans to influence her content or portrayal of her views in any ways, so a massive divide had occurred. And this meant that now any content released by her surrounding the Harry Potter universe is often not recognised as part of the set Harry Potter universe by the fandom. Now, if we come over to Rick Riordan, we can see a very different relationship, as the Percy Jackson fandom regularly interacts with the author and accepts everything he contributes to the universe, even random tweets about the characters, to be canon. If we look at the progression of representation with the Percy Jackson universe, we can see that in the original series, there was a racially diverse set of characters, but no LGBTQI representation or really diverse cultures. And this is something that Rick Riordan acknowledged and has stated during an interview with The Guardian that I feel very protective of my fans, and I am aware of my responsibility to make them feel safe, acknowledging that it is his duty to expand these universe and include this representation. So in the series following Percy Jackson, there was an increase not only in racial diversity but also cultural and LGBTQI plus representation. And I'll link a full timeline below and progression of representation. So the big difference that can be seen between the two authors is their response to the fandom calling out their representational issues and requesting more representation, as J.K. Rowling never acknowledged publicly the issues which had been found with her writing and didn't allow the fandom and media to influence any of her works, which caused this massive divide between author and fandom. Whereas Rick Riordan listened to and took into account his fandom's feedback, maintaining a healthy and supportive relationship between fandom and author. This clearly shows how the relationship between the creator and the fandom does have an effect on the content produced and a large impact on the reception of the content. Because when a creator takes into account its fandom's wishes, it keeps an active relationship with them and shows that they're listening to their views and respect them. Whereas when they ignore them and to continue to build the universe going against the fandom's wishes for increased representation or anything in particular, it creates a divide that then means more the content isn't accepted or liked by the fandom and is therefore rejected. Anyway, that's what I looked into and that's what I found. And if you have any contributions, let me know. But I'll link down below those things. So have a good day. Thank you for listening.